Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to our wonderful squad podcast here, The Rally. I'm joined by the Geeky Panda, a long time squad and Project Reality friend of the game. I just met him the other day when I became a squad partner. I've been even though I've been around since Project Reality, and we might even have stumbled into a couple of matches together, I'm like an ostrich. I keep my head in the sand. I stay low. So I've never actually formally met Geeky Panda until this last summer. So Geeky Panda, do you want to just do like a little bit of an introduction?
First off, you don't write, you don't call.
I know. I should. We really should check on our fellow Project Reality players because we don't talk to each other as much as we should.
No worries. But first off, hey everyone, I'm the Geeky Panda, your tactical degenerate weeb who likes to play games. And honestly, I've been playing Squad ever since it was Project Reality as a mod for Battlefield 2. And even then, I've been playing that longer because I've been playing the Battlefield series ever since the beginning. But I always love shooters. I love the niche tactical and realistic shooters out there, and I just grew up playing them all my life. So
I can tell you, I think I told you this story on stream, but I want to tell it again because I remember it so well. Yep. I really loved Battlefield 2 on the PC, but I was so young at the time that I wasn't old enough to have my own laptop yet, so I had to play on my brother's, and every time that they played Battlefield 2, I never got to play because my brother was always playing. So I got like a 2-hour stint when they were doing dinner. And after that 2-hour stint, I was addicted. And I think that is the crux of why I'm here today. So that Battlefield is why we're here. My first question to you, sir, is what introduced you to Project Reality? Like what hooked you? Because for me, I think I stumbled backwards into it, but I'm thinking it might not be the same for you.
Well, we all know Project Reality used to be a Battlefield 2 mod. And for me, I loved playing when Battlefield 2 came out back in, I think, was it 2005? It first came out, yep. I believe. I was immediately hooked on it. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was literally playing that game every single day. I really love playing mods for games, and this, harkens back to mods like from Battlefield 1942, the Desert Combat mod, to a couple of Half-Life mods, including the Specialist and stuff like that. But I always wanted to have like a Battlefield game that was like more in-depth. Like, for instance, Forgotten Hope, a mod for Battlefield 1942, was a little bit more in-depth of a World War II game. It made it had more depth to it, more units, more vehicles. The same thing I was kind of looking for, the same thing with Battlefield 2. Like, I wanted to have something with more depth, basically. Like, maybe, more options, more, vehicles, more factions to play with, all that. It's like, I want more,
So it was more of like you wanted more. Did you search around for it, or did you just hear like I feel like I heard from the grapevine about this like rumored game that was a mod for Battlefield 2. I think I stumbled into like a video. I watched one and decided to download it. At the time it was a torrent. I think it still might be. It was like a torrent and it still launched through the battle. It was back when you actually still had to own Battlefield 2. I think that's how I found about it. So did you have like somebody in Battlefield tell you about Project Reality, or?
I was within the community. I was on the websites and stuff like that. Like, if you remember the gaming websites that GameSpot used to do, like they would have like Planet Battlefield, and I really went on that site a lot. And then there was, I think, Planet Half-Life and all that stuff they did. But it was just like I was in knee deep in the community and the forums and stuff like that, and always, so whenever like these mods got announced, they would be put on my radar essentially. So, and then I would just follow them and see where it goes, and if it releases, hey, let's try it out.
So were you making content back then, or were you just a little gamer? Were you just a little gamer?
Oh no.
When did you start making content?
Originally, OG, 2006.
Okay. So you were early. Channel. You were early.
Yeah, I was wicked early. That was the time where you could actually change the background to your YouTube channel, like the wallpaper and stuff like that. Yeah, those were fun. But I originally started making content way back in the day. All I had was literally like a point and shoot. You know those point and shoot cameras?
Mm-hmm. No, you didn't point and shoot and then point it at your TV screen, did you?
Oh yeah, potato quality, baby.
Oh my gosh, I went to school with kids that I remember would show me their like Modern Warfare edits, and it would be like a camera set up at their TV, and I'm like, guys, we gotta do better than this. This is bad.
No, we called it potato quality. I used Windows Movie Maker, and that program, holy fuck, it crashed every single second. So you were constantly safe. But yeah, that's where I first started with my original channel, which you could still look it up, but I didn't really get onto like the PC side of content because it was all mostly consoles and just me talking about gaming and anime and stuff until a bit later on, especially with my second channel that I have currently right now. So
Okay, so you've been in the mix for a while. I think they're out there in the world, and I'm not gonna tell anybody how to find them, but there are videos of me playing Project Reality from back in like 2014.
oh
And
no.
I am glad I leave them there for my nostalgia's sake, but I make sure they are buried.
It's like this is knowledge, this forbidden knowledge.
Oh yeah, because I don't want anybody going back and looking at like I started squad leading in Project Reality at the age of like 14. I was a certified squeaker in 8th grade. In 8th grade, squad leading people. And in that era of voice comms on Mumble on Project Reality. Oh yeah, I made
Mumble, TeamSpeak. Yep, let's fucking go. Ventrilo was also another option.
Ventrilo. Yep. Oh, and Skype when Discord came around. Oh my gosh. When Discord came around, I feel like we all got spoiled way too quickly. Too quickly.
Skype dropped the ball. They had a chance. They were this close, but Discord beat them to it. But no, man.
You're the diehard Project Reality fan. I feel like if you got the bug of Project Reality, you got it all out. You didn't like half-ass Project Reality.
No, well, I played a good bit of it. Like again, I loved Battlefield 2. I love the Battlefield series. I grew up playing Battlefield ever since the beginning, with 1942 in the Desert Combat mod. So it was kind of like one day I'm like, I want to play Battlefield 2. Another day like, let's play Project Reality. But I enjoyed Project Reality. I enjoyed for all the crazy moments in that game and all the shenanigans and all that. So the game may be old now, but my God, it was beautiful. It was
I don't know. I don't know what it was, but there was just something magical about being on like Mutra City or Fool's Road or
one of my favorite maps,
Mutra City, and having your helicopter, the Osprey, like come in hauling ass and dump the crate out the back and like cruise off, and you're like no ammo, and you're like, oh my God, the gods have dropped me ammo. Like the game. I
was in the city defending it, dude. I was like, fuck.
Oh yeah, we were repellent on fucking that game. That game was brutal, man. It was ruthless. It was a different breed of players. I truly believe they were vicious players. Like there was no timidness in Project Reality. You were people had the blood in their mouths, and they were not scared to go after it.
It's like it's like blood and water. All the decided to come out. Yeah, no.
I mean, as soon as you got the call that somebody was like the enemy forces were getting held up in a T building, you knew that you were kicking the door in with the fucking shotgun and blasting some bitches. Like there was no doubt in your mind. There was no scariness. You were kicking in that door with that breacher kit. So I do have get to the actual question. Project Reality players are really, really nostalgic about an ugly, old, clunky game. Why?
I mean, it's what, honestly, I even think about this as well with like some nostalgia with some of the games I grew up playing with. It was just like, we just have the most fondest of memories of it. Like back then, this is all we had. Like today's gaming world is so different. Like all these modern graphics and all that stuff, all these, online multiplayer is easy now, or like having all these community options. Back then, no, it was just us, a family PC that you hope to God doesn't die, and willpower and praying to the gods you had DSL internet. It was clunky, but it was like just so raw, and we were just so engaged with it, because at the end of the day, we had so much fun playing this. That's all we wanted to play.
I feel like gaming back then was a different style and type of gaming. People adapted and formed kind of a version of themselves for the game. Like when you booted up Project Reality, you assumed an identity that you played out in that game, and we all mutually agreed upon how to play the game as a team. It was everything people want Squad to be. It was Project Reality. People actually worked together. People were competent mostly across the board. Like the game had been out enough, and it was Project Reality, so the updates weren't flying off the shelves, so nothing was changing quickly. But we all learned the system very fast, and we all played the system together. There was not really this high turnover rate of players, so everybody kind of knew what the meta was and how to fit within it, and how to be a rifleman, how to be a pilot, how to fly casts, how to do the jet, all like everything. We all knew the role of the player.
Yeah, I think one thing that helped out is like Battlefield 2 came with like the options of squads having voice over IP, essentially just voice chat, and that just like, oh my god, we can now effectively communicate with each other. And Project Reality was at its core teamwork and communication. You know, it was just like, this is it. This clearly was made for, this is just helps us enable to have better teamwork and coordination with everything. Like, hey, I'm lasing a tank, pilot in the air, I got you.
Oh yeah, the fact that we were like, if you try, I can't even get people to place a command support mark on the map. But in Squad or in Project Reality, we were out there calling in laser guided JDAMs. Like the gap of play, like, yeah, I forgot about that. Like what you said, I like very distinctly remember using the laser guided binoculars to call in airstrikes. And that was like, that's just fantastic. So.
Like everything worked together. Like we all worked to achieve our goal to hopefully win the match, basically.
Yeah, like we all needed to work together because otherwise it didn't work. It didn't work. If the squad leader was not laser striking the enemy tank, then they couldn't move. But the jet also couldn't do their job because they didn't have a mark to laser guide. So they're just flying around waiting. Like the amount of teamwork and cohesion at that level with it seems impossible today to get back to that. Like
well, I think like like to certain communities out there, yeah, I do agree. Like because the learning curve of it all is just like, that's the thing that people are either gonna try to stick with it or they're gonna be like, oh, let me just play Call of Duty then, because this isn't for me, fam. And I don't blame them. It's just, yeah, there's a learning curve, but if you go push through that and be a little patient, you might end up finding a really awesome gaming community behind it.
Yes, and I think Project Reality just kind of refined and hit the aspects that it needed to make people engaged with it. Because there was this gap in time, but there was just like the immense amount of downtime, and I don't know how people would react to that today, because Project Reality, the objectives were 9 miles apart. To walk between objectives was just simply not possible.
It was torture.
It was torture. People are like, oh, I have to run 300 meters. I'm like, in Project Reality, we were running like 1,200, 1,500. Like anything over 1,000 was just like acceptable.
And like to an Arma player, like, I got this. But to like just a regular player or like like it'd be like, holy hell, no. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure that that they would be able to handle it. But that being said, let's move on to my next question to you, which is, because I know what this answer is, but they don't know what the answer is. What is your must-have feature that Squad needs to implement from Project Reality? And again, I know what this is, but I'm excited to hear you say it.
Dude, I can't just have one. There has to be several things.
Okay, several things. I'll take it.
One thing, grappling hook. Holy fucking shit, it made navigating the landscape a hell of a lot easier. And for those who don't know, you actually had a grappling hook. You could throw it over a wall and get your guys over a wall, or shimmy up a fucking building basically, and just be like, okay, fuck, trying to hit solid ground. We're gonna like throw a hook up there and just go top bottom basically. Grappling hook, I would love to see in Squad. Another thing is I want a more combined arms aspect with this game. Like,
are you talking like air, or what? When you say combine
air assets, including pilotable attack choppers and jets to do because Project Reality, I love that whole combined arms. Everything was all working together in like unison, and having the jets coming in doing strafe runs or trying to target something with the help of like laser guided. binocs or attack chopper doing a freaking strafe, and you're like, oh shit, get out of the way. I miss that, like that added chaos basically. Um,
Do you to sideball, and I want to get back to your other list, but I want to ask this question. Do you think that by squad adding more integration across roles, like armor players needing something from infantry and infantry needing something from helicopters, like building in those teamwork aspects where like a tank kind of requires an infant or a squad leader to complete a task, much like we were calling in laser guided bombs on people. I mean, that I think involving those levels of like forced teamwork, but like enjoyed teamwork, made other areas benefit in that level of teamwork. Does that make sense? Like, do you see?
Like one tank can't do it all. Like having the infantry there to back him up, to calling things out for the tank. Like, okay. Or the infantry telling the air, like, hey, I'm going to laser this target. I need you to come in right now, or else our armor is going to be in deep shit, basically.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to it. The others on this list. What are other must-haves?
Gary.
I knew it was coming.
Gary, for those who don't know what Gary is, it is a menacing son of a bitch. If you see like a dump truck vehicle barreling towards you, get the fuck out of it. No, you should already been gone by the time you see it. It is basically a massive truck with enough high explosives to launch you to the moon. You see that thing, it was just death incarnate. And I'm so frustrated that Gary's not in squad yet, even though the devs say, yeah, we're eventually going to add Gary. They confirmed this. We've talked about this publicly too, but I want Gary to come back, damn it.
It just seems like such a simple thing for me, and it's such a simple thing in terms of like the payoff. The payoff is immense. Yeah. You give squad players who are by all means and purposes, like I understand that we play a tactical game and we do like to think the strategy behind it, but we are also cavemen. We want to press button, make big boom. That's why we have IED drones. But the problem is IED drones are for tanks, and that makes tanks scared, but infantry aren't scared of that. I can remember being on Kokan pushing objectives as the United States Marine Corps troops in Project Reality, and just hearing it in the distance, the rumble, and then seeing this hulking dump truck hauling at you, knowing that you have to do something, like you can't do anything because you can't really kill it. It's too tanky, and it just rolls in. It's bigger than any IED that you've ever seen in squad. It's bigger than the 5 IEDs most people strap to an IED drone. It's bigger than that.
It will delete a city block, essentially.
Yes. And that right there was terrifying. They only got like 1 or 2 per game, but it was such a unique thing that just made the game, it's not hard and it's not like complex, but it just made the game so much more.
It was intense. Like, you knew the threat was out there.
Yes, because in the back of your mind.
You never knew when someone's going to come out and drive it. Like in other games too, like Project Reality had like civilian vehicles that that a faction could accommodate or take just steal it or use. But just seeing that big ass dump truck coming in, you're like, oh fuck.
Oh yeah, I mean because you'd load in and you'd look at the asset list and you'd see it and you just know because on top of it,
you know it's coming, but you don't know when.
On top of it, there were the bomb cars too that looked identical to the civilian vehicles on the static vehicles on the map and the vehicles the faction got to use. The fact that they took the vehicles the faction got to use and made static versions of them in maps made it even harder because you couldn't tell, is that a static vehicle? There's so many that you couldn't like really keep track, and you could park in and amongst them and use them as cover. And it's just like that level of chaos is just something that is just like we don't even have to think about in squad because that just doesn't exist. So there's not that level of underlying fear that is like, is that a bomb car that they have set up that they're waiting for people to like run by and they're gonna blow it up? We don't know.
No, like we've got like half versions of it, like ID bikes that people do, which you use to great effect, or just simply, hey, here's a pickup truck, strap it on, and just good luck. But it's just, again, it's just like it's there, but it's not. It doesn't replace that sheer goddamn terror of like that fucking dump truck of a Gary. And if people wonder why it's called Gary, look at the license plate. We called it Gary for a reason. Gary.
It was. I honestly, I knew you were gonna say Gary. I didn't know you were gonna say the grappling hook.
I wanted to ease up. I wanted to be like, no, we're gonna go to Gary here, but I want to talk about the other stuff too.
The other thing I really liked that I think people have this misconception that Cass in Project Reality was just so overpowered, and if they mimicked the same style in Squad, that it would just be immensely overpowered. I wonder, like, I remember jets being more geared towards dropping bombs than engaging infantry. Their goal was to take out enemy armor, but they couldn't really do that without friendly troops on the ground lasering. And on top of that, you had a pilot and a bomb operative, because weren't most of the jets two?
It was a two-seater, yeah.
Yeah, they were two-seaters.
Yeah, and then you got to be careful about, the other side might have a jet on that side and might be trying to find you too.
Yes, because there were also some jets that were more geared towards fighting other jets, but there wasn't this I feel like people are so scared that if they implement Cass that it's more geared towards taking out infantry, and I don't really I remember the oddball Apache helicopter that would come in and rail up a point, but it never really felt like Cass was overpowered.
No, it was I think again it was there just enough for it to make a presence, but not enough to be overpowering.
I'm curious about that because it's something I've been thinking about. Do you think that they just made it to where the vehicles didn't get a lot of ammo, or that they took a lot longer to repair or get more ammo at base? I can't remember what was it, the distance? Because it could have been the distance, because they had to fly all the way back to the helipad because there was no infield rearms. They would have to fly all the way back.
Well, I didn't do any of the flying because don't back then me flying.
I flew transport. Not well.
Yeah, you did not want me to fly. I was there as infantry or helping with the armor. I will leave the fly boys to do their one job. Fly. Let them do their job.
That's fair. Fair. But I couldn't remember because I was infantry like you, and I was out there slogging in the trenches, and I don't ever remember going, man, I really feel like Cass is just destroying me. I feel like it was there and it killed me enough that I had a healthy relationship with it, but it also wasn't making it not fun to play. But let's bridge the gap into Squad, because now we've given Project Reality its time, and I feel like, knowing you and I, we're gonna go back to it.
Yeah.
What is one aspect do you think that Squad does better than Project Reality? Because there are a lot of aspects that you and I agree that Project Reality does really well.
Wow.
Because I have one that Squad does a lot better.
Well, what is that?
The vaulting system. I truly feel if you remember Project Reality, the vaulting was just shit. It was shit. Your character would just go up and shake and then go down. That's what a character did. Go back and watch Project Reality. Yes.
Just go around and be like, yep, fuck this.
Yeah, we had to go around because if you went to jump over a wall, if you go back and watch the old Project Reality videos, the character would go up and just shake as if they were running and then fall back down. They would never jump over anything. I think that's one way that Squad is better. But honestly, after that, I start to lose
the fluidity of the infantry movement as far as vaulting. Yep, better.
I think the infantry experience is a little bit more fluid across the board in terms of markers, maps, squad layouts, the UI that you're doing to select kits. It was a little confusing in Project Reality, but not bad.
I think it's just mainly the infantry aspect of it, just with that fluidity. Everything else is kind of more of it's not on par to what Project Reality did, even years later. We're still not at that level of Project Reality yet. Basically, I understand Squad is a spiritual successor, but I just hope that we had more stuff from Project Reality in Squad.
I know, and it's so interesting to me because I feel like Project Reality gets a really misconceived identity given its little identity it has within Squad. And I mean by the it's just the two maps, right? Kokan and Fool's Road, right?
No, there's
Al Basra. And is Messia? Is Messia? Oh, Messia is really? Yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah. Lashkar Valley as well.
Is Lashkar Valley? Okay. See, now this
it came from PR.
The problem is Project Reality had like more maps than we could count. More maps than we could count.
And again, like our favorite map that we agree is Mutra City, which
Mutra City was a banger. A banger.
I would love for it to be in there, but it's up to the map creator to give the AOK for that.
So is it really? Is that why we don't see more Project Reality maps? Is they don't want, the creator doesn't want it ported?
Yeah, I think because I know they have like the creator of Mutra City. I don't think the creator gave OWI their blessing, so that's why we don't see it. I mean, think of it this way: like you make a map that's based on like an old, like the past game, and like
but those places are also based on real places, though.
Yeah, but obviously you want to recreate it to like what you had experienced before, right?
Yeah.
But if someone else, but the person didn't, give the blessing and stuff like that, I don't know.
I will tell you, old Fallujah from Project Reality compared to Fallujah from Squad is different. I think both are very successful, but in much different regards.
Yeah, it's people. It's funny because it's like in Fallujah and Squad, you get the it's just a lot of city basically, and then the outskirts. In the I believe in Project Reality, you get like the city on one side, but it was more open on the other half. So you get like the good mix of in between, basically. But yeah,
it had a good balance between really dense urban city, but also sprawling suburban area, and then open fields. Yeah. But it was the
on Grozny or Grozny. Yeah,
I'll look it up.
Because that was like Grozny. That was like the urban area in the middle. Everything else was open.
I think I remember this.
Warfare.
Was
like
this the
2.0?
Was this the map that was like almost like 80s? Yeah, and it was kind of like the IMF. I can't remember what they were called in Project Reality, but it was like the IMF version, right?
Yeah, it's it was very gray.
I remember that. Yes, I remember this map because I remember being infantry in the city on like a rooftop killing a bunch of people. Yes, this map was very good. What was I gonna say? Because I had something to talk about the maps. But like even Fool's Road doesn't feel like Project Reality Fool's Road. It doesn't feel the same.
No,
it's close. It's close, but not there. What I was gonna say is, I think that Squad made a huge mistake going to the divisions and voting systems rather than the layers, because the layers were themed and balanced to the theme. Like Al Basra. Al Basra Invasion was themed to be the insurgents defending against Blue 4 or Red 4, whether it be like Russia or America or who it be. Yeah. But it's because that map is not intended to have ATGMs on the defending force side.
No.
Because it is not balanced for that.
It was literally just the insurgent faction holding it down with like SPGs and shit like
that. Yeah.
And you knew that if you pushed them back to the city, it was legitimately going to be room to room, building to building.
Yes, and I don't get that anymore on Al Basra, and it kind of saddens me because I feel like that history will be gone. Nobody will remember. That's why we loved Al Basra, is because of that. We loved Fallujah on Project Reality because it was insurgency on Fallujah with the civilian mechanic, which is why we loved Fallujah, right? Do you want to? Can you tell because they're not going to know what that it means. Can you tell them about it?
Oh, so there was a civilian aspect with Project Reality, like people actually playing as civilians, and game modes like Destruction. Oh yeah, things got really interesting. I only played it like a handful of times, so it was just like a wild card effect. Like, oh, who's the bad guy?
Well, the civilians, the way that insurgency works was finding the weapons caches, and to get the intelligence for the weapons cache, you had to kill enemies, and if you could arrest the civilians. So if you arrested civilians, or you could use a shotgun and beanbag them, you could do that, or you could just kill enemy combatants, and you would slowly get points, and those points would buy an intel on an enemy cache location. And then when you took out that cache, you got more tickets. That game mode was so fun because it was so chaotic, because you had anything from insurgents working with civilians to civilians appearing in weird places to cars that civilians drove. So you couldn't just shoot all vehicles. Like, it really forced you. Like, I think that's really why I love it. Made the bomb car even better. It made Gary better. It just made everything sweet and cohesive. And I feel like that is missing. And it's also the game modes. I feel like
those game modes were a lot better in PR anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. The insurgency game mode was honestly, it was actually very. It was the only way that game mode works is with the civilian mechanic. I feel like without that, it makes it really. But for some reason, they were the same player counts, but it felt like it was so much more lively. But the maps were also bigger. Like, I don't understand. Maybe I have like a misconstrued memory of what it was like, but how like do you feel that?
Yeah, I think maps back then definitely felt more bigger. Like, remember Kasan Desert?
Is that the one with the fucking bunkers in the center and the giant mountain on the side? That map was the most. Big. It was the most bland fucking white bread, that slightly soggy ass map. It had like 5 buildings, 8 bunkers, a giant fence, and a fuck off big mountain, and that was it. Other than that, it was a giant desert.
Yeah, pretty much.
But for some reason, people were addicted to fuck as that map. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why.
Either King of the Hill,
yes,
to control the hill, or you were trying to control the objectives in those buildings.
Yes,
there was no in between.
I truly still, to this day, remember that map and have no idea why we liked it, because everything screams that wouldn't be fun, but for some reason it is. You want to talk about how they, at the end of Project Reality, they melded World War II, Vietnam, and like all of them into more or less one game?
I think that was the best thing that could ever happen to Project Reality, having the ability to, hey, not only are we playing, in like a modern or near modern setting, we're playing in like, freaking, the Falklands, and, we're playing the Vietnam, we're playing World War II. I mean, having everything all under one roof, like, my God, this is fantastic. I don't need to download another mod. It's like a one-stop shop, basically, which I honestly wish Squad would be, to be more like PR, where it's a one-stop shop. You want to play in a different time period? There you go.
I actually do agree with you quite immensely on that, because it also just created this entire level of replayability. You would go from fighting on Mutra City to slugging it out on Fallujah, and you're like kind of getting tired of that style of infantry slog. And then you go play the Battle of Drang on Vietnam, and it's a completely different beast with a completely different play style, but it was still fun. And bouncing between Vietnam to going to the D-Day invasion to like all of these, bouncing around, and it made it to where everything felt.
It made it feel fresh.
Yes, even though we were playing, again, Project Reality updated like maybe once every year and a half, right? They were sluggish, which was fine, because what was there was fucking gold.
Like, we learned patience, basically.
Yes.
The mod team had their own lives. That they were working on this, when they had spare time, basically, and things took time because of it. And that to me is like, okay, we can forgive you because you're a mod team. We're not giving you money. We're donating it at best to help keep supporting it. But whenever you guys release the updates, we'll be waiting and then we'll be ready for it. Basically, we might be a little dusty, but we're here for it.
Which is really interesting, because it's like, from a business standpoint, you don't ever think that way. Like, you don't ever think your customer base is going to be patient and waiting but we didn't care because there was so much and it was so fresh and it never felt redundant. And there was different game modes, different maps, different time periods, different vehicles, air, ground. We were also tunnel fighting. Like
it was just so many different ways to play or different environments to play in and everything else that it just kept us occupied. Like, and that's why I was like, if you ask me about Squad and stuff like that, I honestly believe that Squad 44 and Beyond the Wire, especially since now that thing's pretty much dead as a doornail, except a weekly get together that doesn't even fill a server. I'm sorry, but you guys are still dedicated. I'll give you that much. It was better off being as a DLC for Squad, basically.
I'm in that boat of why I didn't quite understand why they wouldn't pull it all into one and just slap a $60 price tag on it and call it a day. And I think that everybody would have walked away very happy with that.
Oh yeah, or if you want to buy the base game and just buy like the certain DLCs separately, hey, more power to you and stuff like that. It's just, especially now that I think, when you think about it, like the player numbers again for, Squad 44, and Eugene was a lot of fun. I've had my fun, but there's a lot of issues with it right now. They need to fix it. The player numbers are reverting back to pre-update drop. So it's kind of like, I feel like all the, these are all distractions that could have been part of the main meal, basically. Like, why give us an appetizer when the main meal was definitely the star of the show here?
we're gonna come back to that because I'm really curious about that. I have one last question, and then I did leave plenty of time to get off track because I know how we're gonna get after this because I'm not gonna structure anything. But how do you feel about Squad's changes over time? Has it been moving in the right direction or has it lost its way?
It's moving. I mean, back in the early days, it was moving in the right direction with them slowly adding things. Like I remember when strikers were added and IFVs, and then when the tank was added, it was like holy shit. Then when helicopters were added, we're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Right now, it's just in such a weird state to me because it's like you saw where it was, you thought where it was going to go, but then it went off on a different road path, and it's like, what are you guys trying to do? No, go back to this path. They're like, you're fine here. Stick to this road. Why divert off a little bit? Like right now, I think Squad is at a very, very bumpy road, and with a lot of things essentially. I know, and I know, I could get into this too, and with ICO and everything, I think that was a kind of a mistake, basically. Personally, but I think Squad kind of teetered off a little bit. I think there's a chance for it to get back on where we want it to go. It's just like I think they're just kind of teetering a bit too much for my own comfort.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. From what I've seen, both being here since Project Reality and kind of I am very new to this, stepping into like this Squad partner content creator role, seeing it now and in the future of like where they're thinking of taking Squad. I'm gonna agree with that same sentiment of I think the community is not as a little hesitant to walk down the path that the developers are and the company wants to take. I want to broaden it to company rather than developers because it's not just one individual. It's a shared vision. But I think it comes back to the community wants more and the company wants to give more, but they're in different areas. The player base wants Project Reality more, which is more factions, more give us jets. If it takes a year to get us jets, we are ready to wait. We are ready to wait. I think we are. Give a map in between, and I think that's all you need to do. But getting back to the big thing, I think it's what Project Reality is still the key to success here. Give us more factions, more maps, more depth than like what you said with Battlefield 2, but not depth in the wrong way of like the ICO. The ICO is too in depth for infantry. I felt like infantry were in a decent place. Maybe they could have gotten a little bit more, instead of doing the ICO, done the VCO, the vehicle combat overhaul before the ICO. Because
I firmly believe, and again, my opinion, I know this is very mixed within the community. I firmly believe when Ico originally came out, it fucked Squad sideways. It made
I
infantry
think
combat unbearable.
I think at the very minimum, the community needs to agree that the ICO or ICO, or as you put it, is at the very minimum something that pushed a lot of experienced players out of squad, which left a massive gap. There's always been this level of equilibrium that we've been able to maintain, which is there's enough people who understand the game, who have been around long enough, teaching these new generation players how to play to balance and maintain this natural growth and natural level. But the ICO saw this massive drop of experienced players with a big sale that brought in a massive influx of new players. And that right there is a perfect storm, because I think it leads to this situation we're in today, which is the community health is not very good because people just don't know how to play the game because they never were taught, because the experienced players left because they were upset, and that is fair, but that's why we're here. So
yeah, it's essentially that. Like, who's manning the ship bit right now? The second in command who just got there yesterday. Like, it's literally a recipe for disaster. And then when you think like, oh, squad has a tutorial, the tutorial's there just to basically give you an idea of how to play the game, the controls. That's it. That's all it's going to ever teach you. I wish.
To be fair, that tutorial is very good. Needs a facelift, but that tutorial's not bad. It has a lot of really good information in it.
Like, it teaches you like the controls and everything.
It's a lot though.
But it's just, that's it. Like, everything else that you learn is just, it was literally like majority of the time was a squad leader helping you out, or fellow squad mates helping you out, being like, oh no, this, do that, do this, be careful of this, essentially. Now, like you said, we have like a power vacuum where a lot of experienced players stop playing. Like, one of my good friends, Dorkley Moogle, he knew armor in and out. He was like a god at it. Like, he knew, but he got fed up with squad and left it because he thought it was like, no, I don't want, it's stupid. I don't want to play this anymore. So, and how many, I always find, I like, it's a shower thought here. How many like, if you're on the server browser list, how many of the servers out there say they're new player friendly?
All of them.
Yeah. Is there, like, it's weird where we're like in two states of new player friendly or comp, and I have me and squad comp. We have I don't dabble in that.
I agree with that sentiment. There is squad comp and new player friendly, and those are the canyon in between. Is that it is a canyon in between, because new player friendly servers are just they are in crisis mode and just surviving, and then comp is its own island that doesn't even think it's playing squad like everybody else is, which is fair, but that is the two worlds that we live in.
And it's crazy because it's like, again, like I was seeing seeing both scenes, especially the comp scene and all the shenanigans, but it's just like, being a squad leader in this game fucking sucks. I am gonna be absolutely.
But why does it suck? I'm gonna push you on that because I want you to be specific.
One thing, it is stressful as a motherfucker trying to wrangle in your squad mates. Another, it's like, I gotta worry about my squad and worry about if they're gonna follow me or not. And then I gotta hear command channel all of its infancy of, are we actually gonna help each other, or is this thing gonna turn into a bitch fest? And I've done it very rarely. Very rarely, but I've done it. Muted almost everyone because everyone was bitching and complaining with each other in one ear. And I'm trying to hear what else is going on out there. I'm just fucking done with that. It is kind of stressful. Because again, it's like almost the blind lead. It's like not the blind lead, the blind. It's like I'm trying to make sure my guys are okay while everything else is going to shit around me.
Well, I think what happened with Project Reality and early squad is it had this creme de la creme of squad leaders and leadership that was teaching and educating the future of the game. And as time went on, that the players would join and leave it. And what would happen is new players would come and they would slowly rise to the top because they would figure it out, and they would start filling in the experienced players and helping down below. But now I feel like it's not that. We lost we lost almost 90% of the top, and nobody's filtering back to fill that void because people are getting so frustrated because the games go exactly like you say. Either everybody's yelling at each other on command chat or nobody has said a single word.
which people will, I fucking hate this too. When people say, "Oh, the reason why no one's talking is we got all these players coming in from Hell Let Loose." Shut the fuck up! It happens in every fucking game, including Hell Let Loose. The When I squad lead, I always try to communicate with my squad members. I try to communicate them, be like, "Hey, is anyone new?" Or I try to give them a heads up of what's going on, and people generally talk back to me. Even if you're just typing it to me, you're still communicating with me, and I'm appreciative of that. I've seen other SLs where it's just like it's almost like a vacant role. They're just there. They don't talk. They don't put down rallies, or better yet, they squad bait some random Joe Schmo who never even realized he's now the squad leader now, and everyone's like, what the fuck?
You know what's crazy to me is squad bait is a squad problem.
Oh yeah.
This is not normal, people. Project Reality, if you ask somebody that only had played Project Reality if they knew what squad baiting was, they would, and they don't have a different term for it because it simply doesn't exist. It's that the problem that people have is they also understand how the game should be played, because eventually at some point as a squad leader you will fall into the stars aligning and the squads are working together. They're not micromanaging each other. They're saying, I need help with this because of this. People speak up and say they can do that. It's teamwork, it's strategy, it's communication, it's voicing needs, and people are helping each other. That is peak squad. But that right there is 1 out of every 10 to 20 matches. And the worst thing is either all of those players leave after 1 round or they get balanced by the server so that the server doesn't have such a role.
Because it was too good, basically.
Yeah, because it was so good, it rolled the enemy team. So then they have to split the teams up to make it even. And then now you have reverted back into the situation where nobody is talking or it's a yelling fest.
Yeah, and I've seen games where like squad leaders had like tunnel vision to the maximum degree of, we must attack here, this point, this direction, nothing else changed. We're not gonna attack a different direction, we're not gonna change plans. We're just gonna keep basically a human wave tactic. And I'm like, they're just so fixated on that, which annoys the shit out of me. And one of the things that also bugs the shit out of me too, especially as an SL, is everyone likes to attack, no one likes to defend, and I usually 9 times out of 10, if I'm doing infantry, I will go on defense because no one's fucking doing it. And then when we're losing the point, everyone's blaming, oh, why is there no one defending? Y'all motherfuckers are on attack, you're not even helping me out here.
Yeah, and it's almost like they hadn't said a word up until that point. And you're like, you didn't hear me.
Yeah.
You're like, you didn't hear me like 5 minutes ago say I needed help on defense because I was getting railed. Like I said that on command chat. Nobody said anything back. Like it's not the fact that we're like upset with each other. It's the fact that at the bare minimum in Project Reality, when you came over command chat, we all pictured ourselves as those scenes in Hollywood sitting around a map, pushing things around. Because that's what it was. That's how we felt. We were pushing and coordinating together and working as this well-oiled machine. Even if we didn't do it successfully, even if it failed, even if people didn't do good, we tried. It doesn't even seem like we're at that place where we're even wanting to try.
Yeah, like back then we were playing a chess match collectively and the other team were playing chess too.
Yes.
So, and now it's just basically a random luck of the draw, because again, I've seen games in squad where we're actually communicating. We're getting shit done. I'm fucking loving it. Those are the most beautifulest games you're ever going to play, where people are communicating, teamwork, everything's falling into place, and we're all changing our tactics to, depending on what's going on. Other games, quiet as a motherfucker, complaining, or we're doing this one thing so fucking bad, like you don't realize, like, guys, why are we super fobbing a point when you can turn on the tunnels underground and they can take that shit? Like, that doesn't, why? Or super fob the tunnel system, but they can still cap it on the top.
So I want to dive into that, because as much as you and I can sit and bitch about the current state of squad for hours, I want, like, how is there anything we can do, or is there anything people listening can do to like try to, how can we move forward? Because honestly, I think that it's both parties are at fault. Both the company and the community are at fault. I think the community is just digging their heels in and are saying, no, we don't even want to extend a hand and try. And I think that it's kind of the same. I think that we're approaching this divide rather than this collaboration. How can you and I, as people who are passionate, deeply passionate, we've been here for how long? how can we make sure that we get back on the right path of adding meaningful and engaging content and improving the community? Because that is a both party problem that we have to fix.
It's a honestly, there are a couple things that could be fixed with a few easy steps, and other things it's just literally in OWI's side of the court. Like one thing that'll help out a lot to alleviate the pain that OWI has to do is OWI has to fix a lot of these optimization and these bugs issues that's been plaguing the game for God knows how long. And I understand that Unreal Engine 5 is coming out and people are treating it as a cure-all, but I'm like, let's just see when it comes out. But no, we need to fix optimization bugs. The community-wise, is just one, keep reporting the bugs and issues. Because sometimes those things, like remember the hotfix that came out that was fixing the INI file?
Oh yeah, the one like 2 weeks ago that just broke the game.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I guess I'm not flying a helicopter because I can't see anything. Keep reporting, keep doing.
But to be fair, as a community, it is our job not to be upset when they do that, because they are actively trying to improve the game, and we should just be patient and caring, because they are showing that they're trying to help. And I think if we take that as like and be upset with it, then we're going to get ousted, and they're not going to care what the community's input is, because we're not there yet. I understand that they were truly trying to improve the game and it failed, and that's fine, but at least they tried. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think also the community helping itself, like we've got a huge gap of decent to competent squad leaders and stuff like that, and the problem ain't going to fix itself until we kind of shepherd in the next generation of squad leaders, essentially. Like just
but I think the problem is like the problem with that is there was this slow equilibrium that naturally met its balance of incoming and outgoing squad leaders. But now we're at a point where we lost a lot and didn't get an influx of good new ones to fill in. Do you think it's just patience and letting it naturally fix itself, or do you think there is something that maybe someone or myself or you could push for that could maybe be more of an immediate bandage to fix it?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know what else we can do with that we're already not doing. Like, we've got great tutorial videos out from a lot of awesome content creators, partners, and non-partners that help explain the game better. We've got these new player servers that people are helping each other out as best as they can, in a sense. I think it's just one of those natural discourse of we're doing our best to do a patch job and try to make things work. It's just all it takes is time, and Squad is a game where it's not an easy game to learn.
No, it's got a steep learning curve,
and it could be a turnoff to a lot of people too. And again, I might sound like I'm rambling here. I'm just trying to. Shit takes time to get things done.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Like at the end of the day, I think we're getting there in a weird way. It's just taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Basically, provided nothing else pops up, I think things are just. It's slowly healing in a sense.
How are you scared of Unreal 5? Like when I say scared, are you scared of Unreal 5 like we were like we should have been scared of ICO and what it did?
I am. Okay, this is coming from the squad player side of me. I've been with this game enough where when we had engine upgrades, it royally screwed over a lot of things. Like, it was bad. It was really bad. And I think Unreal Engine 5 could help this game out a lot. I think it can. But there's a side of me in the back of my mind that's basically saying, hold on to your butts because something might happen to it at the same time. And granted, there are playtests happening and all that stuff, but it's just in the back of my mind, I can't get rid of it. Yes.
Well, I think it's a healthy concern, because a healthy community, I wouldn't have been, I won't be concerned, because I think a healthy community can withstand a big change like that, even if it's rocky.
Yeah,
I'm worried because I see us in a slightly unhealthy community state, in a bit of that, like as you said, kind of teetering, and then we're gonna make a huge change like that could be rocky. Though that to me is like another one of those things. Like, I don't know if we can, as a ship, we're pretty battered. Can we weather a storm like that? If it's a storm, it could be, we could transition into smooth sailing waters and return back to normal peace and bliss. I just want to make sure that when we do that change, that it's not hasty and for not good reasons.
That's why I tell people, like, don't treat this as a cure-all, or all of our problems are just going to magically disappear because of this engine. No. Like, it's just, we're going to have to wait and see when it comes out. I'm hoping that it's not rushed. I'm hoping that they take their time trying to fix all the bugs and issues of an engine upgrade that possibly might pop up. You know, and again, we've got a lot of new players that came in recently, you know, and they weren't there for those engine upgrades beforehand. I was there.
We were all there. We were all there.
Like,
well, not all of us.
Those were not fun. Like, those were not fun.
No.
But it's just kind of like, I'm excited, but I'm cautious as a motherfucker.
I think that's healthy. I think that's healthy.
Yeah.
I think it is also, it is of the responsible party to paint a picture of getting, I think there's a little bit of discontent amongst the community, and I think that there needs to be somebody that steps up and provides clear future. Like, I don't think we have anyone stepping up and showing the future of Squad. Like, the future of Squad is Unreal 5, and the only input we get is we're promising that things will be better in Unreal 5. And those are some promises that are slightly empty to me. I want to see that they're not.
Yeah, so it's like, we know more content is coming down the road on top of it too, but it's kind of like, it's a wait and see type of thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think we should wrap up. As much as I know you and I can keep going for another 2-3 more hours, but I want to make sure I respect your evening, this wonderful Friday night. So thank you for joining me on the Rally, as I'm calling it, a Squad podcast geared towards improving the community across all realms, both in game and out of game. Thank you, Geeky Panda, a fellow Squad partner. Do you want to leave us off on any notes?
Make sure you check out UrsoDoSono's content out there. Fucking amazing guy.
Don't plug me, plug you. I can plug me. God dang it.
But no, if I were to say, to give everyone out there, you know, just keep, you know, if you love the game, keep enjoying it. If you find issues, keep posting about it so the devs know about it. But at the end of the day, as long as you guys are having fun and we all have, you know, make some great memories, that's all I care about in the end myself. But just let's be hopeful, let's do our best, and let's see if we can weather another storm here. But also, feel free to check out my content on YouTube and on Twitch, GeekyPanda404. So
I will make sure that all of your links are there. I would assume like YouTube, Twitch, TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
Are you a TikToker? Do you just? Yeah. I might have to send you a couple of messages on where you're at, what you're doing. But I will say I completely agree with the last messages from Geeky Panda. Thank you for listening, and please tune in next time. I'm not sure who our guest will be, but it could be anybody.